Hello anatomy students, so welcome to anatomy. In this video, I just want to talk about, I would say, a few key points that I think could be of relevance or of use to you guys. And to start off, I just want to mention off some of my challenges and some strategies that I use to overcome and succeed in this class. So to start off, I had never taken a biology or an anatomy course before. I think the last time was in 7th grade. And I think that many others may find themselves in similar situations. So with this being new material and a lot of new material, as well as many other time commitments such as with other classes, clubs, youth assemblies, volunteering, and just life in general, I found it in the beginning to be very hard to really focus and commit to studying for this class. So the way I was trying to overcome this was by watching the lectures whenever I had free time. For example, when I was washing my teeth or when I was on my way to school or on my commute. So, quick disclaimer about that is that I would highly recommend that you guys first sit through the whole lecture, really digest it as much as you can, and then after you can listen to it while you're doing something else. And that's, I would recommend that. And so another way I try to do this was by shifting my time in my other commitments to make more time for studying. So for example, maybe it meant going one day less to the youth assemblies or leaving club a bit earlier, some ways like that. And then I try to making time for studying. And life can get really hectic, so I highly suggest you guys to I would say, lock in now in the beginning of the course, like really, like I cannot stress it enough. Like if that's like the one takeaway, I say like really start now. That's the best like advice I think that I can give you is to just start with the assignment, start with all the lectures, really the readings, start with all of that studying now in the first day, really. And some more general tips I would say is to just give this course the time it needs. This course is it requires a lot of time and commitment. So really, I would say that give it what it deserves, And this isn't a class that you can just wing. You really have to put your effort into it. So some strategies that worked and also didn't work, more specifically for studying anatomy. So in the beginning, I started off by just copying everything down from the lecture videos, like all the slides. I hand wrote it, or I don't know if you say it like that, but I was writing it down with my hand, like I was handwriting everything, and that took me way too long. So then I upgraded to just typing it on a Google Doc, and then I printed out the pages so I could have like my own packet. And it worked a bit. My thought process was that, because I was copying it down, that was a form of repetition, and that was like a form of studying, I guess, quote unquote. And it wasn't too bad because I could look back on my notes and have it all really specific, and I could just go back anytime I wanted. But the con with that is that it just took way too long and it wasn't too effective in helping me really understand the material. So after that, I moved on to just watching the lectures. But as I was watching the lectures, I had a little whiteboard with me, and then markers. And then as the lecture was going on, I just I copied what I felt was the more important topics. So like the most important topics, that's what I wrote down. And then I also tried doing flowcharts or drawing the way I interpreted the material. And so it was a little bit more general. And then I went back and then I filled in those gaps. So I went back and I I wrote the material again, but then I made it more specific. I wrote more specific details. And then also I took pictures of those. So it was like a form of notes that I had in my gallery. And then also, active recall. I think that is very, very effective. So, I would, in my free time or just like at random, I guess in life, I would just think, of a topic that I went over, and then I tried my best to describe what is it that I learned, um, and things like that. So, for example, I was thinking, um, what the hormones that are secreted, where do they go? Well, in the different areas of the body, where do they go? Or like the blood flow. If I started with so if I sorry, so if I started with the brachial artery, I would say, where does blood flow from there? So things like that. So that, and then that, I felt like that worked way better. It helped me. It was more effective. So now we move on to, I would say, is what were the most challenging topics to master. And for me, when we talk about the lab and the lab practicals, I think definitely the hardest ones were the muscles, the skeletal system. Those two were those were the hardest ones. And then for lecture, it was the nervous system for me. That was, it's just a whole lot to cover, 6 chapters, I believe. And those chapters were like the hardest ones. And I would say that the topics that were pretty hard to master was I would say just the nervous system in general, learning about all the nerves and um, the ganglionic cells. Those were pretty hard, I would say. It's a lot. It's just a lot to remember. Um, so I would say that those were a bit challenging. And now some strategies I would have tried out. I guess if I could go back, what is it that I would have done? So like as I mentioned in the beginning, I would have, day one, I would have taken this as seriously as I did at like nearing the end of the course when things got even more like, I guess, real. Um, Really, I would have just gone over the lab handouts. So day one, I would have gone over the lab handouts, got myself familiar with the names and the terms, and because of the pictures that are also included, I would be able to, I guess, put a name to the face. So if I saw a name or the term with the lab handouts, I can see what it's describing. I can see what it actually is. So then when I go to the lecture videos, then I would have been able to understand more the lecture with the context of how it looks um, and where it is in the body as well. So I would say that that's what I would have done. And I would also would have started with my, I guess, the study, the way I studied. I would have studied, sorry, I would have used that study method that I used nearing the end of the course at the beginning. And I would suggest that you guys, find what helps you the most, find that as soon as possible, and so that you can study effectively as soon as possible. And so I would also have done the flashcards starting soon. I heard about the flashcards. I felt like it wasn't, at the beginning, I felt like I thought that I could just, like memorize it on my own. But really the flashcards, making flashcards for the terms or the names or naming the different places of the body, I would say that doing those flashcards, those are very, very helpful, and I would have done that if I could go back. So I guess I just want to end off with some words of encouragement, and to you guys, so really, this class is pretty hard. There's a lot to remember, and there were times where I genuinely felt like I would have gotten an F, and that was super scary because I had never gotten an F, and I was super, super worried. But I said encouragement, but it sounds like I'm discouraging. But I would say that really, if you guys just put in the effort, put in that really, I think the biggest thing is put in that time, and not just, you know, bad time, but like quality time with the studying. Like, you guys can really succeed in this course. I had some people I studied with, and those guys, they really put in that time, and they really understood everything. And it doesn't take to be a genius to pass the class. It just takes the commitment to give this class the time that it deserves. And you guys, if you guys can do that, which you all can do it, um, you guys can definitely succeed in this class. And um, there are times you might feel like it's just like super hard. I know that I felt like it was so much. I was just thinking like I just want to put my head down and go. I just want to go away. But you just have to keep pushing in those times. The only way you can overcome it is by actually doing it, because you can't, like I said earlier, you can't just wing it. You have to know it. So if you guys just do that, you really, and, you know, you follow some of the things. You know, you don't have to follow everything, but if you follow some of the things I said, you guys can definitely succeed. And I wish you guys all the best. I think that once you get the hang of it, it becomes a whole lot more fun. And so, yeah, you guys, you guys can definitely do it. And I guess I think that's it. And best of luck, guys. See you.